and 61, there was hardly any infrastructure, there was hardly any educational facility, especially higher education facility. There was hardly any industry, and perhaps there was no attraction for any crime, so there was no crime. About the quality of life, it can be a subjective opinion. Now, against this background, we had the economic blockade in 1954. Economic blockade was imposed by India. We were then Portuguese citizens and this area was under Portuguese. Economic blockade was imposed on this territory with the hope that it would twist the arms of Salazar into surrendering Goa to India, which of course did not happen because this had a wide open seashore from where anything could be brought from anywhere else in the world. Economic blockade did not succeed, and we as youngsters, college-going youngsters, were very lucky to eat potatoes from Holland, Kraft cheese from Australia, use Shepherd's pen from wherever it is manufactured, I think it's England, Parker pen from there, and wear terylene, nylon, Decron shirts and pants. And when we used to go to the college, either in Belgaum or Dharwad, the Goan students would be cyanogen of all the eyes, because they used to wear the best, eat the best. Now, that is not to say that, well, everything was going on fine, all milk and honey flowing through the streets. We had to go across the border because there were no higher educational facilities in Goa. There were perhaps no tar roads, there was no electricity worth the name. You name it. The social infrastructure was not there, political freedom was not there, but there were no taxes. If you wanted to start something and progress, nobody would hold you back. That's what happened to mining in perhaps after 1945. And after 54, it took up more speed because it was helping us to export iron ore and import anything that we required. I was told that nearer the liberation in 1961, we could get a Volkswagen car by paying in advance of 2,000 rupees. Now those were the old stories. Now this one, and at the time of liberation, mining was the only industry worth the name in Goa, and it was mining which spread the multiplier effect and laid the foundation. I am not saying this because Avadhut Bab is moderating this seminar, but it's history. That was the only thing worth the name, and the other thing in a very small way was cashew nut export. Now this was primarily the foundation of Goa's economic growth. Then came 1961, and along with 61, we of course became a part of the motherland, and all the policies of the motherland automatically devolved on us. The license Raj, the so-called license Raj, the planned economy, the difficulty in starting and running an industry, all these things became a part of our life. At the same time, our improvement in infrastructure, improvement in physical infrastructure, social infrastructure, education, health, social welfare, almost on all social fronts, we progressed as never before. Never before, because nothing was there like this during the Portuguese period. And this was a union territory after the opinion poll of 1967. In that union territory, funds were flowing freely from New Delhi, and fortunately for us at that time, we had not got the full statehood. So union territory meant less powers to the local people, less misuse of power, and as the political department students would remember, since there was less absolute power, there was less absolute corruption. Now, this was between let's say 61 or 67 and 87. In 1987, please stop me if I am going beyond the time allotted. In 1987, we got the statehood and we became a full-scale state. It was very interesting to see that a common man in Goa, I think that was my impression in those days, he was least interested in this so-called statehood.